Well, this week, Eli Lilly and Company received final approval for property tax abatement on a $90 million investment the company is making at its technology center in downtown Indianapolis. There were some critics questioning whether providing incentives to this project is good public policy. Here now to talk about tax abatement and its broader implications. Pleased to be joined by national site selection firm KSM Location Advisors CEO Tim Cook and President Katie Culp. And welcome, as always,
Thank you
to the show. It was made a fair amount of news this week. Eli Lilly and Company's major investment in insulin production in downtown Indianapolis, $90 million investment. I think the abatement request was for about $10 million. There were some on council and others who opposed that, which I think raised some eyebrows because you look at Lilly and Lilly's commitment to Indianapolis and those types of things. Talk about this particular proposal and your perspectives on that abatement request.
Well, I would think you agree with me. In my mind, it was totally appropriate to support our largest employer and this huge corporate asset to our community with this type of investment. I understand some of the criticisms about it. There wasn't a lot of job creation, that type of thing, but I don't think Lilly is someone we start asserting our muscle in terms of close scrutiny.
And was that the kind of the rub for a lot of people? I don't know, or very few jobs. It certainly keeps jobs in Indianapolis and is a big investment in downtown, but the jobs were not a big factor.
Yeah, typically when you have tax abatement being offered, it's a company committing to offer new jobs, and in this case, it was a job retention. But to Katie's point, Lilly has been downtown forever. They've committed to being here. They've committed not to selling the company. They're a company that if they say tax abatement's part of this decision, I think you have to give them the benefit of the doubt.
And Lilly, a company obviously that can make investment any place they want to make it.
Anywhere in the world.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, exactly. Well, let's talk about tax abatement more broadly because it's something we hear about a lot in economic development circles. It's a big part of the incentive game. Give us the kind of the ABCs, Katie, and Tim jump in there too, but on tax abatement, what it's really all about.
Well, I really hate the name tax abatement because it's a misnomer. It makes it sound like there's some sort of tax holiday and no taxes being paid, when in reality, even with like a 10-year property tax abatement, the company's paying taxes on land, on equipment, and some taxes on the building. So in a 10-year traditional cycle, you save about 50% of the property taxes you'd otherwise pay. And so it's a way of kind of easing in the burden of local taxes to new and expanding employers.
And everybody, or many states and municipalities use this, right? And some more aggressive maybe than what's seen here in Indiana.
Yeah, I mean, Indiana's not the only state that offers tax abatement. Most states do. Even if you look at some of our counterparts, Ohio has a much more aggressive tax abatement structure than Indiana does. So it's not as though it's used unreasonably here, and I think there's a lot of controls on it. It's something that has to go through a vote through a local council. It's not something that just someone can sign at their desk and offer it to them. So there are a lot of controls already in place.
As you look at the list of things, if I'm a company wanting to expand or to relocate, where does tax abatement fall? How important a tool is tax abatement in the economic development game?
Katie and I always talk about incentives. They are never going to be the reason a company locates someplace, but they can be a tiebreaker, and they can certainly, one thing that we talk about a lot of times, and this is true with the Lilly deal, this abatement might not influence this decision, but they will remember it the next time they're looking to make an investment in that community. And so I think you have to look at the long play with some of these projects, and if we offer abatement this time, will that make the company more likely to continue to invest at that location?
And tax abatement in this case, we're talking about a big company in Indianapolis, but abatement is an issue, especially when we talk about property tax caps and the issues that folks around the state are facing. This is becoming, I assume, a bigger, the issue is not going away.
Oh, it's getting a lot of scrutiny, especially from county government, because with the property tax caps, local government is really strapped for cash in some instances, and property tax abatement can take pieces of that away. But, the counter argument is you wouldn't get any of that tax rebate, or that tax revenue if you weren't incentivizing that type of investment to begin with. But any of our 92 counties, I can guarantee you there are ongoing, sometimes heated discussions about how to appropriately use that tool.
Well, one thing that we talk about is, the questions on Lilly, those were good questions. They should be asked. Any kind of incentive request should be scrutinized, but to just have a one-size-fits-all criticism of all deals, that's really not the best interest of good policy.
Very good. Great discussion. Interesting topic. Tax abatement for Lilly and more broadly for the rest of the state of Indiana. Tim Cook, Katie Culp, thanks as always. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Gary.
All right. And I'll be right back after this. Stay with us.